Hello, everyone. This is Sean Smith, and you are tuned in to the Kountryfried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. The podcast that will connect you to resources regionally and nationwide to engage them and you in open, honest discussions so that we can inspire the growth that you need to chase the experience you want. So strap yourself in because here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Kountryfried Outdoors Chasing Your Experience podcast. I'm Sean Smith, and boy, do I have a good episode or series of episodes coming your guys' way. This is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be a two-part series because this past weekend I was live recording at the 4th annual Antler scoring event at Northeast Outdoors in New Philadelphia, Ohio. The owner, or I can't say the owner, but the store manager, might as well be the owner, Greg, was kind enough to let me set up the podcast there so I can interview some of the people bringing their deer in to get scored and also have a chance to sit down and talk to some of the members, if not, at least one of the members from the Buckeye Big Buck Club. And it was a good time. And I got to see a lot of good deer. Well, when I say good, I mean a lot of big deer. Even took two of mine in to get scored. And, it was just a good day. We started around 9 o'clock, and I think they finished up with their last one around 3:30. They were going to be there till 4, but most of the rush had got there early, and the 4 scorers that were there, sound like Abraham Lincoln there for a minute, the 4 scorers. 4 scorers and 27 deer let go. I'm kidding. Anyways, the 4 gentlemen that was there to score, along with the help from their significant others as they took down numbers for them, they got through a good bit of deer. I would say easily 40 deer. There's about 34 names on the list, and there are a few that brought in multiple deer. So 40 might be a low number, but they got through a good bit of deer by about 2:30. Then come around 3:30, I think the last couple of tricklers came in. We've seen deer from all sizes, from about 90 inches all the way up to 209 inches of just pure, I don't even know how to put it, just pure, awe-inspiring bone. It was amazing to see the number of deer came in. And I was lucky enough to sit down with 3 very special individuals. I sat down with the young lady who came in with her biggest buck to date, a gross scoring 170-inch buck. Then I sat down with another young person, a nice young gentleman who brought in his 173 net scoring buck. And of course, I sat down with a very deserving gentleman who's been hunting his entire life, and the stars aligned, and he was able to connect with a 209-inch non-typical good old Ohio buck. So part 1 of the series is going to be those interviews as I sit down with Melinda, Jeremiah, and Tom and let them tell their stories. Hope you guys enjoy listening to this, and then stick around for part 2, which we'll post probably in a couple weeks. And that's where I sit down with Jim Williamson, and I screwed that up in my intro of the podcast itself when I was talking to him. He corrected me. So Jim, when you get to hit chance to listen to this, sir, I apologize so much. But Jim is a sitting board member of the Big Buckeye. Let me do that again. Of the Buckeye Big Buck Club. And I'm told that he's a historian, so I don't think I could have picked a better person to have an interview with. And Jim will be covering a lot of the history, how the scoring system works, and what to expect once you hit that magic number of 140 for the typical white-tailed deer and 160 for the non-typical white-tailed deer. I got to say, there was a lot of bucks that got entered into the club this weekend. A lot. Just so we know, I don't think I seen a buck there that I would have passed. Anyways, folks, this is part 1 of 2. Hope you guys enjoy it. Coming up first, a very special young lady, Melinda Stewart, telling her story of patience, persistence, and of course, hard work that allowed her to connect with her largest buck to date. Let's check in with Melinda. Hello, everyone. This is Sean Smith, still here out Northeast Outdoors at their 4th annual Antler scoring event, and I've got another special guest sitting in front of me here. I have a Miss Melinda Stewart. Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome. And Melinda came in with a gross scoring, wait for this, gross scoring 170-inch buck that she shot this year, right?
Yep.
Over in Harrison County.
Yep.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. So, Melinda, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you been hunting?
I've been hunting since I was about 14.
About 14?
Yeah, I didn't really start getting into it real big until I was, probably 3-4 years ago. I really started to get big into it and just kind of took into it and started doing food plots, stuff like that. And last year, was just good year for me. So
nice. Yeah, absolutely. So say you're getting into food plots. So do you guys own your own land or you guys lease somewhere?
It's my grandpa's land. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So been hunting for a while.
Yeah.
Right. Is this your biggest deer to date?
Yep.
Awesome. Are you a bow hunter, gun hunter?
I do both.
Do both?
Yeah. I would rather get stuff with a bow, but most of the time it don't work out like that.
That's my girl right there. Going out with the bow. What kind of bow do you shoot?
I have a 10-point crossbow. Yeah.
Crossbow? Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. What broadheads do you use with that?
I use Rage Hypodermics.
Rage Hypodermics. So you had a lot of good luck with those?
I've not shot something with them yet.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yep.
Still waiting.
Yeah. I was hoping to get this one with it, but yeah.
So you had history with this deer then?
Yep. 3 years.
3
Yep.
years.
Yep.
So how old do you think he is?
I'm thinking he was 5.5.
About 5.5?
Yep.
Awesome. Getting other wall hangers or is this it?
No, I have another one. I've never had him scored or anything, but he was a 13-point as well.
13-point?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. So you're just, sounds like you're on the roll with the 13-pointers
yeah,
here.
something for me.
I can't get past 8. Like, I shoot a bunch of 8-pointers, but...
Yep.
So you say you've been hunting since you're about 14. So how many years has that been now? I know I never ask a woman her age, but I want to ask too.
I'm 28 now.
You're 28, so 14 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yep.
Good for you. When did you get your first deer?
When I was 15.
When you're 15?
Yep.
Awesome. Gun or bow?
Gun.
Yep.
12 gauge.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Yep.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. Hey, that's a good place to start, right?
Yeah. Yep.
How'd you get into bow hunting then?
I've always seen a bunch of people do it, so I just thought that I would try it and stuff like that. And my buddy that's always helped me and taught me everything I know, he started a little bit into the compounds, and I was like, I'll try these, whatever. And I just kind of went into it and stuff like that. But I've shot a small 8-point with a bow before, but that was it. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Yep.
So was that compound or crossbow?
Crossbow.
Crossbow.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
So obviously you're here, you're getting your deer scored. We're here to talk obviously about that deer. So tell me the story behind this deer. When did you first come across him?
Like I said, I came across him. It was in 2021. It was like September-ish. I started getting him on camera, and he wasn't real consistent that year. And I was watching another deer that ended up getting hit on the road, but I started watching him, and I was like, I'll let that one go. He'll be real nice next year, whatever. Well, the following year came around, he started getting a little more consistent and stuff, but I still couldn't put him down during the day. And I'd never seen him all year last year. And, he went, and I was like, I'm just getting all these pictures of him, so it was like a real kick. I'd go sit at my tree stand one night. The next night he'd be at my food plot. So I'd switch it up, go down to my food plot. He'd be at my tree stand. So it was like cat and mouse with him, in 2022. And last year he started to really move in the summertime and stuff like that. So I've got, thousands of pictures of him from this previous year or whatever. And I started pinpointing down where he was bedding at and stuff like that, because I think he was getting older. So his circle was staying smaller in the last year and stuff like that. So he really started to hang out right there where I was feeding him and stuff like that. So I went out, and I've probably sat like at least 40 sits this year just trying to get him. And it took a lot, just getting him in. He was smart. He'd come in a little bit, and then he'd back up a little bit, like he knew I was there or something. It was always so strange. I'd have 3 or 4 other deer in front of me, and he'd know. It was weird. Yeah, it was tough. Definitely tough.
Patience is a virtue, I guess, right?
Yeah. And I actually passed on him 2 nights before I actually got the shot on him.
Really?
Because it wasn't a good shot and I wasn't confident with it.
Well, good for you. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I was very sad that night, but
So kind of explain, if you don't mind me asking, what was that shot angle like for you that you passed on?
it was a straight on, and
Okay.
I've not really shot a whole lot of deer, and especially a straight on shot, so I didn't know where to put, the shot placement and stuff like that. So
Well, good for you holding off on that
Yeah.
shot if you weren't comfortable with it. How
Yeah.
many yards was he?
about 40.
About 40 yards.
Yeah.
And that was that during gun season or with the bow?
Yeah, yeah, gun season.
Gun
Yep,
season. Okay.
yep.
Well, good for you holding off. That's a hard thing to do. A lot of
Yeah.
people find themselves in trouble because they
Right.
make that shot,
Yep.
and it doesn't end well for them. So kudos to you for having
Yeah.
the patience and,
Yeah.
and the gall.
Yeah.
As your target buck sitting there staring at you at
Yep.
40 yards, you're like,
Yep. Yeah, plenty of daylight left too, and he knew something was off, like I said, and he did not give me a shot, so he just turned off and went. And I was like, he'll come back, so
it's amazing what these old bucks can pick up on,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yep,
And, there's a lot of people, you can make an argument whether it's energy sensitivity, like they can pick up the different energy, that we're emitting or something, or just something's just ain't right. And
Right.
it's amazing the senses that these animals have.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's amazing that we kill any of them at all.
Right.
To be quite honest with you.
yeah, I agree.
So tell me about the day that you got him. He shows up. What happens?
Well, I didn't think I was even going to see him because it was pretty funny. My uncle, he's got some cattle above where my shanty's at, and he came out about 5:10 or so, and he was feeding right above me. And I mean, it's right behind me. So I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, he's not going to come out tonight. He's going to hear him up there, whatever. And sure as crap, right before dark, here he came. And I was like, oh, and I'm shaking. And I'm like, I got to get over this before he gets over here.
Right.
So he came out, and he was about 120 yards or so when he came out of the woods, and he finally crossed and came across. I got a hay field like around my food plot. So he came, and there was like three deer in front of me, and one of them was just a little buck or whatever. And he came right in and came right up that line that I saw him 2 days prior, walking that same trail. And I was like, well, hopefully he gives me a better shot than he did the other night. So he kind of came, and he was about 30 yards, and he was a little bit broadside, and I just took it. So I was like, I have to do something tonight. I'm not waiting anymore,
30 yards with a 350 ledge, and
Yeah.
you almost just had your crossbow with you.
Yeah, definitely. So I was like, well, we're going to try it. And he went, and I shot him, and he crossed the creek and went over, and he acted like he was going to go up this hill, and he just stood there. And I was like, what do I do? Try to put another round in him or whatever. So I just was like, I'll just let him go, see what he does, and stuff like that. So I called my buddy, and I'm like, hey, you're going to have to come help me. I think I got him, And he's like, what's he doing? I was like, he's just standing there. He's not laying down. He's not nothing. I was like, he's just standing there. He's like, well, get out of there. He's like, let him do his thing. We'll get after him here in a little bit. I was like, all right. So later that night, he was still just chilling over there. He finally did bed down. But we ended up watching him for a little while and stuff like that. Well, then it got dark, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So my brother brought out he has a coyote set up on a 6.5. He has a thermal thing. So we was watching to make sure he didn't leave that area or whatever so we could check. And he just kept picking his head up, laying flat, picking his head up, laying flat. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is going to end, So next morning I was like, well, let's go get out and look for him, whatever. Well, I ended up, just in case, I called a kid I know with a drone and stuff like that. And he came out, and here he had went about 60 yards up into the woods overnight and died. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was your shot placement at then?
It was, I got him one lung right in the side. It was a perfect shot, but it was just the one lung, and he didn't die instantly.
Yeah. Did the bullet pass all the way through, or did it?
Nope.
It got stopped inside.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
Man, that's a rough thing to do.
Yeah, and there was no blood. We had went and looked, and there was no blood or nothing and stuff. Crazy.
Well, I think you made the right decision. Obviously to give him the time, because you push him and he goes like that.
Yep.
That could have been a no-go, and you never found that deer.
Yep.
Those single long hits, those can be kind of tricky because sometimes they survive those.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think kudos for you to holding back on that one and giving it time to expire. So you brought a drone in, huh?
Yeah.
Was that a pretty cool experience for you?
It was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool.
I seen somebody that did a drone recovery for their deer, and almost kind of similar situation where it kind of, they just had a hard time finding it.
Yeah.
And so this drone comes over, finds it. The deer had expired.
Yeah.
And there was a coyote eating on it.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually have footage of the coyote there eating out of the front of the deer. I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing how technology has come the long ways it has
Oh,
allowed.
yeah, absolutely.
I hope, and I know Pennsylvania is right now, it's illegal to use drones
Okay.
because somebody got in trouble over there for the recovery. And I don't know the full details, so I don't want to go too far
Right,
into
yeah,
it. But
yeah.
someone did get in trouble, but they do have a bill where they're trying to get it passed where it's legal.
Yeah,
Which I'm all for. Like, to be honest with you, anything we can do to help recover.
absolutely. It's better than wasting them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I wouldn't be on board for the hunting aspect
No,
of it, to
no,
find them,
no,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
actual hunt, but
Yeah.
for recovery,
Yeah.
definitely for sure.
Yeah.
So it definitely looked like it worked out really well for you too.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I mean, I maybe didn't even need to call him. We would have found him, but
Better
it was-
safe than sorry.
Yeah,
right?
we found him in like 3 minutes on that thing. So I was like, okay, that's easy then. And it was raining that next morning and stuff. So it was better that I called him and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So this is your biggest date.
Yep.
Getting ready to put him on the wall, I'd imagine, right?
Yep.
Who's your taxidermist? Do you mind me asking?
It's Rice's Taxidermy in Belvedere.
Belvedere. Okay.
Yep.
All right, awesome. So this guy ended up netting 163 and 4/8. So from 170 and 3/8 down to 163 and 4/8. Those
Yeah.
deductions are a pain in the butt, aren't
Yeah. Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
That's why we just say gross. Hey, he was a 170.
Yeah. 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 We'll stick with that.
There you go. Sounds better, right?
Yeah.
Well, where do you go from here? You got a 170 now. 200 next?
I hope.
200?
Yeah.
What kind of food? What do you use in your food plot? If you don't mind me asking.
I use the domain seed, and then I have the mossy oak, just biologic.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So you're deep in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're deep.
Yeah.
You've got the whitetail bug.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. It's good to hear that, and I'm sure who came with you?
Oh, my boyfriend,
Your
Tyler.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's proud of you.
Oh, yeah.
He's either proud or jealous, one of the two.
Nah, he's pretty proud.
A little both, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. He helps me a lot, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely, it's good to have that around. So, who got you into hunting? If you don't,
I don't, it's like I said, my buddy Paul, I mean, him and his dad. Yeah. His dad was actually my hunter safety course teacher and stuff. So, I mean,
that helps.
yeah, I've grown up around them and they've always been like, oh, you guys should hunt, and like I said, we hunt on my granddad's property, me and my brother do. And
Yeah.
I started getting into it and I was like, all right, this is pretty fun, whatever. And it's definitely something that keeps me busy. So
Well, good for you.
thank you.
Good for you. And it's impressive to see a young lady like yourself out here shooting big monsters like that. So what is the words of advice that you have out there for other young women, or even women in general, or just anybody in general, to get in there and actually get themselves a candidate for the Boone and Crockett Club, or a runner up for it?
You just got to stay positive about it. I know I really let myself get down at times, but if you stay persistent and you just keep yourself up and figure out a deer, you can put it down.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It sounds like you had a lot of history and you put the work and effort into it.
Yeah.
Some people would like to say that this is easy.
It's not.
It's not easy.
No.
It requires a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's why only about 10% of hunters are the ones who are consistently
Yep.
the ones that actually account for most of the numbers. Is about 10% of
Yep.
the hunters out there. It's because they put the work in.
Right.
And it sounds like you're definitely putting the work in, whether it's, through the scouting
Oh, yeah.
or food plotting
Yep.
or whatever. You got the work in. You earned this buck.
Yep. It's
And
a year-round thing, that's for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that is an awesome deer, and I thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any other words of advice you have out there, or anything else you'd like to say in closing?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, once again, I'm impressed with your deer.
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting down and sharing a story with us, and hopefully it inspires some other young women out there to do the exact same thing, to get out there and get on it. So,
Yep.
All right. Well, Melinda, thank you so much. Safe travels, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed Melinda's story. That is definitely a very great story about being patient, persistent, not only just the hard work that went into the hunt itself, but also the patience of waiting and pulling back and not diving too far in on the recovery, and giving that buck time, and made the right decisions, which allowed her to recover that wonderful, wonderful buck. Coming up next, we're going to be talking to a young man in his mid-20s. This young man is already an established big buck killer. He's going to tell us a story of his 173-inch monster that he brought in for to be scored today, or at least on that event. But he's got some other big bucks that's hanging on the wall too already, and he's in his mid-20s. So let's hear a story of his father's misfortune of a miss on this deer earlier, and which led to Jeremiah's turn to step up to the plate and take a swing at an absolute brute. Let's hear from Jeremiah. Hello, everyone. This is Sean Smith again from the Chasing Your Experience podcast. We are still here at the Northeast Outdoors here in New Philadelphia for their 4th annual scoring event. Sitting here across from me, I've got another good one and another great story for you guys. I've got a Jeremiah Norris here sitting here. He came in with a net scoring, and I don't think this net gives this deer enough justice. It's a beautiful deer, but a net scoring 173 6/8 of an inch. Jeremiah, how are you, my man?
Good. Yeah. I'm excited. I think, the different scoring systems, as far as you kind of touched on, like not doing it justice, you hate seeing the deduction part of it, but
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But anyways, Jeremiah, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you been hunting?
I've been hunting. I'm 26 and I started hunting. I think I was 7 or 8 when I started hunting.
Okay.
Using a gun at the time, shotgun season, youth season with my dad. So a few years. Yeah.
A few years now, right?
Pushing on 20 years, 18 years. Yeah.
Does the time fly?
Fast.
It's hard. I turned 40 today, and I've been hunting since I was about 13 or 14. So it's been, I can't believe how fast time goes, man. It's amazing. Dude, first and foremost, that is an impressive deer. It's a beautiful deer. I like his on that, what is it, his right side there. Like I said, when I first see him, like, it almost looks like a gig or some type, the way it kind of has those the 4 points kind of come together in like a diamond shape there. It's pretty cool. It's a really cool looking deer and something that anybody should be proud to have shot. So, are you bow hunter?
Bow hunter. Yeah.
Bow hunter?
I mean, I gun hunt too, but mostly bow.
Awesome.
My dad will tell you I'm not as accurate with my gun as I am with the bow. So
that's okay.
Kind of stick with the bow.
That's okay. We'll take that, right? What bow you shoot? Do you want
I have an Elite.
an Elite?
Yeah.
Oh, which one?
Elite. Mine is the Hunter. I had an Answer at a house fire, got rid of it, got a Hunter.
Oh,
Elite
no.
Hunter. So it's a 2013. So it's about a 10-year-old bow now.
It still shoots great though.
Shoots great.
Obviously.
Had the limbs changed on it, new strings every year. Like, shoots great.
Nice. Awesome. How long you been bow hunting then?
So I started with a compound. I want to say 12. So maybe, 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably 14 years with the compound. I crossbow hunted a few years before that, and then saved up some lawn mowing money in the summers and bought myself a compound bow. So
why does everybody get this look on their face when they say crossbow, like it's some evil thing? Like as soon as you say
not evil.
You kind of looked at me with this little crap eating grin on your face, like, yeah, it was a crossbow.
Yeah, it's not evil. There's nothing wrong with them.
No.
It's not my thing. Just I don't have anything against it.
No, I understand. I'm with you, right? It shooting a compound is very magical to me.
Yeah.
Right? There's just something about it. The big one that is actually in here, he was a crossbow kill, that 209 inch. Yeah, he was a crossbow kill.
And that doesn't take anything away from that deer.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not at all. At least not in this circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So is he your biggest to date?
By far, yeah.
By far.
My next one is typical 10, clean 10. He's like 160, 159.
That's still a big deer, though.
It's a nice deer.
Man, it's still a big deer.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous of you, man.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
You're like in your mid-20s, and you've already got 2 that make it to the Buckeye Big Buck Club. Good for you, man.
They kind of go downhill from that. I got a couple. Like 140, 145, 146, and then one that was like 150, 150 inch 9-point.
Dude, look at you. You're a big buck killer, man.
I like to think I am.
I'm going to name a show after you.
It's fun. I like doing it. I spend a lot of time doing it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that probably where it comes is the amount of time and effort you put into it and the work, because obviously it shows because of the success that you have.
Yeah.
So you guys lease ground? You own yours or
haven't leased any?
Okay.
I got a little bit of like 30 acres that my grandpa owns. I hunt that some.
Mm-hmm.
Killed a deer off there last year actually with my muzzleloader. It's one of my couple gun kills.
Nice.
And then a lot of the rest of it's just private ground that we get permission from family friends, or do work for some farmers. Like, done all kinds of crazy stuff. We paint the one farmer's barn roof every couple years. Paint his barn roof for him. Do some brush hogging in the field I killed this deer in.
Mm-hmm.
Brush hog their field every year for them.
Nice.
So yeah, kind of.
That's a good little
work
That's a
trade.
good little bit of advice for people out there, because access is definitely starting to diminish in Ohio and everywhere, right? You know, the opportunity, like we're an opportunity state. Like, you know, anybody can come here and shoot a deer as long as you got the tag, right? Problem is, where do you put everybody?
Exactly.
And that's the problem. You know, a lot of private ground is getting leased up, or just not, you know, people just don't let people hunt because some other yahoo did something bad or whatever. But that's a great piece of advice there.
Yeah. When we were talking about, like, there's a lot of, you know, Ohio small parcel properties too. So it makes it kind of hard to, you know, getting permissions, because you're getting a permission on a 10-acre piece that butts up against this guy's 10-acre piece and this guy's 10-acre piece, and everybody's got a corn pile out. And it's like, you know, it's so hard to navigate that.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah. It's difficult, but obviously you've got the winning solution here somehow, right?
Little bit of luck goes a long ways.
All right, my man. I know you're limited on time, so let's get right to it. Let's talk about this deer. What's the story behind him?
The funniest thing is every year, you know, I take an inventory of the deer. I'll take a couple pictures of all the new deer, the younger deer, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, you know, deer that aren't on the radar yet, but like, okay, this is kind of an interesting deer. I almost didn't even save pictures of this deer the first year. Like, he was this ugly looking, like short tined, real scraggly, like maybe he probably would have went 125, 130 inches, maybe as a 10 point. And at the time, we weren't really sure how old he was. First year getting pictures of him, we guessed 2 or 3, but who knows really, you know. Next year he comes back, pretty identifiable, just the shape of his rack. And now he's like 145, 150 inch deer. He was a 9 point, had that cool sticker off his base on the one side, kicker off, flyer off his G2. Like, he was a cool deer. I was hunting a bigger one than that at the time. Plus we thought he might be 3 or 4. We had different deer to hunt. We're like, okay, normally we'd shoot that deer, right? Like, that's a big deer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we had something else that we knew was mature. It was a bigger deer. We're going to go hunt that. So we let him go a year, watched him. I saw him out of the stand once, spotted him in the field a couple times, got pictures of him on my phone from the road, just out of the field. Late season that year, saw him out of my tree stand, busted up rack, you know, must have had a rough rut, I'm guessing. And looked hard for sheds, couldn't find him. I don't know. He just disappeared. You know, those things, I swear, they just disappear into the ground when they fall off. Like, you can't, they're so hard to find.
I don't think I've ever found one, to be honest with you.
A shed?
Yeah. My son has, if I do find one, it's a tiny one. So I hear you.
This year's a struggle. My dad, he found 5 of them on his, like, few acres behind his house already. So
he's up here giving me the thumbs up. He's like,
yeah. He's kicking my butt this year. Yeah. But, so coming in the next year, that was this summer, and we go up and do our food plots. We got cameras running on this field again. We're getting pictures of a couple nice deer, some young deer, and we're just waiting. Every single time you go in there, it's just like that excitement. Like, okay, is he there this time? Is he there this time? Is he there this time? Finally, it was like early in August, mid-August. Get a picture of him. He's across the field from the food plot, but it was a spot where I'd seen him out of the stand the year prior. Set up the camera there, and sure enough, there is. He snuck in, got like 3 pictures of him on the camera, left, but we knew he was there, right? And he was huge. Like, I could not believe the jump he made.
No, saying itself.
Yeah. The 6-inch bases looks a lot bigger with velvet on too. I mean, he was impressive. So game changed, right? Like, we're like setting up our stands, moving stands. We moved stands like just 15, 20 yards just to get just a little bit more optimal shot opportunities. Put in a scrape tree, like, did the whole thing.
Look at you.
So, I mean, we were at all the tricks to try to get him. And so we're getting close to time. It's game time, right? Like, he's in there every day. We're getting 6 days a week daylight pictures, but every day he's in that field eating these turnips. And so me and Dad are shooting. We're practicing all summer like crazy, right, with our compounds. And finally he's like, all right, we're going to have to flip a coin. Like, who's going to get to shoot him? Who's going to get the first opportunity here? And so come down to it, and I'm like, you know what? Go for it. Like, you know, taught me everything I know. You've been doing this a lot longer than me. Like, you know, we've never had a very few pictures of deer like this, and not any that were consistent, right? And I knew this deer was going to die. So we go in there. We had to wait for like the first 5 days. We didn't have the right wind. We needed a south wind. And finally we go in to hunt him. Usually he's like an hour before dark. Like he's out in the field way early, and he's not shown up. Every other deer we had pictures of showed up in this field. We saw this. We call him tall brow. It's like a clean 8 point, but the one side, he must mess up his pedicle last year because he was a clean 8, and he grew this like super long brow tine on the one side.
Okay.
Pretty deer, 140-inch 8 point. I mean, nice deer. Let him walk, and I'm recording, right? So I'm sitting with my dad, and I'm like, don't shoot him. Like, we gotta let this deer go. We're not the one we're looking for, right? And finally, it was like last 15 minutes before dark, he steps out in the field like 70 yards from us, works his way across, comes in. You know, dad gets his bow up, he's ready, stops the deer. He stops late,
Mm-hmm.
and then he starts walking like immediately. So, and he's already there, right? Pressure's on. This deer's here. Pulls the trigger. I watched that luminok go right under the deer.
Oh no.
And it's so cool because like when I took the video, you can hear me say like, did you miss him? And then like the camera shuts off. It just cuts out. I'm like, what happened?
Oh no.
So it was crazy. We're looking, so it's probably later that night, you know, we get home and I'm like, okay, we can't go in there. We gotta just let this spot cool off. Like we got him all messed up now. Like he's going to come back. We just need to give him a week, let him cool off. But we got cell cameras on the field, right? And this is where like technology's cool in that aspect of being able to use cell cameras is he comes back in that night, like hours later after we shot at him, standing there.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So we're like, okay, never mind. So next south wind, we're going in there.
Yeah.
Right. Now it's my turn.
My turn.
It's my turn now. So we go back in and hunted him. We tried to hunt him, I think it was 4 different times. And the wind it wasn't right. I didn't even get to hunt till dark. We were in there for an hour. Wind turns, swirls out of the north, and it's blowing right in the field. Like we got to go.
Right.
So we get out of the stand, and it's like disheartening because like we know this deer's going to come here. We just have to we have to have a night where we can sit there long enough to get him to come out. And finally, we end up going in there on the 10th. I go in there on the 10th. I text dad. He's at work. I'm like, man, wind's good. Like, are you going to be able to like get out of work a little early? Like, what time you think you're gonna be able to get home? He's like, no. He's like, I got stuff going on at work. I'm not gonna be able to get out today. He said, just go. He's like, wind's good. We're about to have a switch out of the north. Like, you need to just get in there and hunt him.
Yeah.
And so I go in, you know, kind of sucks. Like we've been doing this all summer, you know, plan this to like both of us be there, and like I'm in there by myself. But I get set up, get my camera set up and everything, you know, and a little spike works in, a button buck. I'm kind of recording them behind me, and it's pretty early still. It's like 5:15, something like that, and it's not getting dark until 7:15, 7:30, something in that area. And I'm recording these deer behind me, and I hear something in the field like running, and I turn around and there's a doe there coming across the field, and I look behind her, and he's there, set like 75 yards, walking straight across the field over to hit this on this side of the field where the scrape and everything is, right in front of my stand.
Oh.
So he works across. I'm shaking.
I was going to ask, tell me what's going on right now? What's going on with you?
You can see in the video once I pick my bow up.
Yeah.
You can't see my whole bow and you can't see all of me, but you can see the stabilizer on my bow, and it's just going, shaking back and forth. So
I don't know why it's a little deer. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're that excited.
So I know he's coming, right?
Right.
And he comes in, a couple deer behind me. There's deer behind me, kind of spook a little bit. He kind of gets nervous. He walks off a little, comes back across the field, walks off again. And I'm like, this isn't going to happen. He's going to take off. Like, why would any deer of this caliber, like a mature deer, stay in the field like this? Well, he ends up giving me a shot. He's slightly quartered to me. I I just tucked it tight to the shoulder, aim for that lower third, pull off, and my arrow smacked him right on that shoulder line. He goes tearing across the field. Immediately, I'm like, got to call my dad, right? Like, that's the first thing I have to do. And so I was a little nervous because I had a lot of arrows sticking out of the deer, probably half the arrow, but I'm through the chest cavity. Like, there should be, I don't have an exit wound, I don't think.
Okay.
And so I called dad. I'm like, as soon as he answers the phone, I can hear him like, his voice is shaking. And he's like, did you get him? And I'm like, yeah. So he's at home at this point, right? He had to work until like 4 o'clock or something, but 5 o'clock he's at home and he's watching this happen on the cell cameras as I'm shooting the deer. Like he sees him come out in the field. He actually knew the deer was in the field before I did.
No way.
And he comes all the way across the field. We get him on the other camera. Didn't get the shot, which would have been cool. I know I see sometimes people get like the shot on the trail camera, but yeah. So that's kind of the rest is history. The rest is laying on the floor there.
Yeah, no kidding. I had to ask you, right? When you walked up on this deer after you had shot him, tell me what are you feeling? What's going through you?
I was just a ton of relief because initially we tracked him. We tracked him across the field, very minimal blood. And so I was nervous to go in further. So we backed out and waited till like midnight to go in and look for him.
Okay.
And when we went back in, we just kind of grid searched this hillside that he went down. And I was getting like that pit in my stomach, like, oh my gosh, if we don't find this deer, it sucks because we're not going to see him again. But 2, I don't want to wound an animal, especially, something like that.
Absolutely.
So when I'm scanning across this hill and I flip my flashlight and he's 25 yards from me laying there like curled up, and I just like immediate relief, like the weight of the world off my shoulders,
I bet.
The highest of highs, man.
I bet. Well, dude, that's an impressive deer and it rightfully so, and well earned. Definitely well earned. Had a little bit of luck on your side since the old man swung and missed on him.
Always a little lucky. Yeah.
So at least you have something to hold over his head from now on.
Oh yeah.
Hey, remember that deer you missed that I shot?
He can have all the sheds if I can get that deer.
Right?
Yeah.
Forget the sheds. I got him while he was still alive. So, well, dude, that's an impressive story, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to us. So,
sure.
This is definitely a true story of like patience and persistence, and having the right mindset to stay out of an area when it wasn't good. Right. Because you've already said it. I'll just reiterate it. Like, these caliber bucks don't stay in an area once they know they're being hunted, or their pattern changes extremely to where they become nocturnal, and that makes it really hard. And so just the fact you as a young man, mid-20s, here you are talking about like you're a grizzled veteran hunter, like, hey, the wind wasn't right, we got to stay out of there. And, I, as a younger person, when I first started to hunt, like I wanted to be out there all the time, every day I go, I was out there. Right. And I found here recently, I don't go out as often, and I've been way more successful. So there's definitely something to that. Right. And like for you to know that at a young age is impressive. Well, Jeremiah, I'm impressed, son. You've done that's a heck of a deer. And when I first see it, I'm like, dude, that is a great looking deer.
Yeah.
I'm sure your dad is very proud of you and everything. So, well, is there any other words of advice that you have for the listeners out there when it comes to shooting big deer? Because obviously you are a big buck killer. I know, be humble. I get it.
A little bit of luck.
Sometimes it's luck, but sometimes it's you're doing the right thing. Yeah. And it sounds like you put a lot of work in. You guys are running cameras, you're running food plots, you're putting the time and effort in. And that seems to be a common theme for all the other stories I've gotten today, is that if you want to be successful, you got to put the work in.
Definitely got to put the work in. Yeah.
Every now and again, the sun shines on the dog's butt, but you get lucky every now and again, but you definitely have to have the luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, anything else, my man?
No, I don't. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Well, I really do appreciate your guys' time. And I think it's time for you to go up there and get your photo taken. So thanks for sitting down talking to us, and good luck to you in your future endeavors and stuff, man. That's a super caliber deer, and hopefully 200's next.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you for your time, man. Be careful out there. Wow. What a story from Jeremiah. you got to think, how many times has your target buck been shot at by somebody else before you got the chance at that buck? Jeremiah makes a great point about a lot of smaller parcels here in Ohio, and that's very true. To be honest with you, there's probably not a whole lot of bucks that exist out there today that someone else is not already hunting or know about, right? And, it takes me back to one of the bigger ones I have on my wall that was lucky enough to get my taxidermist had brought to my attention that he had been shot before. And sure enough, high in the left shoulder, it looked like someone had hit him with a broadhead, and it didn't kill him. And, I was lucky enough to get a shot at him, and it made a good shot. So, in this case, this is one of those cases. His father had this buck, that they've been watching dead to rights, and, just this, one thing led to another, and he unfortunately had missed on that deer. And it was a clean miss, which is good, and that's the way I want my misses to be. Like, I don't want to miss, but if I want to miss, then I want it to be a clean miss, And that worked to Jeremiah's favor, where he got a second opportunity at that deer, and he took full advantage of that opportunity. And now he's sitting high and very proud, and I know his dad is just as proud as everyone else is of that deer and his son. So, Jeremiah, great story. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, coming up last, and definitely not least, I had the opportunity to sit down with a very, very humble gentleman by the name of Tom Stahl. Tom is a Tuscarawas County native who's been hunting his entire life. Since he was 14, he's 58 now. And, he's dedicated a lot of his life to take care of his family, which he'll talk about a little bit in this story. And, he's kind of in the fence with me when it comes to, good deer. Like, if you get a good deer show up, there's nothing wrong with shooting it, right? And that's my philosophy. But he's going to tell us a story about knowing about a once-in-a-lifetime deer in his property he can hunt. He's going to tell us the story of the scouting that led up to it, and, of course, that fateful opening day in the evening when all Tom's dreams, hard work, patience, and you name it, came together with one shot. Here's Tom as he's telling the story of a 200-inch once-in-a-lifetime deer. Hello, everyone. This is Sean Smith, and we are live here at the Northeast Outdoors 4th annual Antler scoring event. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited because the big buzz around here is I'm looking at a 209-inch non-typical buck shot this year by a very deserving gentleman by the name of Tom Stahl. And Tom was gracious enough to sit here with me and to kind of tell the story behind it. So, Tom, thank you so much for stepping on here, sir. How are you today?
I'm good.
That's excellent. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been hunting since I was 12 for deer. 58 years old, and I've lived in the area all my life. And right now, I'm just excited.
You got to take it all in, man. That's a once in a lifetime type deer for you there. And obviously, like, I can see the emotions right now, and that's great to see. So you've been hunting since you were 12, right?
Yes.
Now, are you a bow hunter?
I bow hunt mainly.
Hunt mainly? Oh, you're my man then.
Crossbow.
It's a bow, right?
It's a bow. It's an arrow.
Yes, welcome to Ohio. It's a bow. I know some people are like, the crossbows, but I'm not that person, right? I'm definitely I'm glad you were able to chase the experience that you want. So, I mean, I guess this goes without saying. Is that your biggest to date?
It's the biggest one I've ever seen on the hoof and ever killed. Yes.
How many other ones you got on the wall?
I got 3.
You got 3 on the wall?
3 on the wall.
Are the rest of them scored, or?
I haven't scored them.
So, nope, haven't scored them. Like, this one was definitely worth seeing it.
This was the one.
I gotta say, I'm uber impressed because this is the first time I've actually seen a 200-inch deer in person, right? Well, I seen him before because you brought him in a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I was kind of milling around here, and I see him, and please don't take this the wrong way. Like, when you're looking at it, first off, this thing is massive. There's a lot of mass on this, and when I say this, in my mind, when I think of 200-inch deer, I think 20, 30-inch spread, huge.
Absolutely.
Spread, right? This guy is really nice, tight, and just thick. right?
If he went by you at a quick pace, you'd think nice 10-point.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be better next year. But when he's facing you, and you see all this,
Yeah, you're like, oh, I don't know if you even have time to even fathom the amount of points this deer has.
I thought 21 on our trail picks.
Okay.
But this doesn't show up that good.
No, it doesn't.
Once we got him down and I was standing there, you asked my nephew. I immediately started getting emotional.
Oh, I can only fathom.
Because, the farm that I'm hunting was my brother-in-law's.
Okay.
2 years ago, he passed away, massive heart attack, same age as me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And so he wasn't here to share in it. And that, but he'd have been the first one to brag on me.
Oh, I'm sure he's looking down on you today, or when it happened, was very happy to see it happen for you. Oh, that's an amazing deer. So you've been hunting since you were 12. This is the first time you've got one at the 200-inch. And to be honest with you, most people are lucky if they even see a 200-inch deer in their lifetime, let alone actually have a chance at it. So tell me, what's the story behind this deer? How'd this all go down?
Well, 2 weeks before season, we put, and I'm a big believer now of those cellular trail cameras.
Yep.
Because you don't have to go in and mess with anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we put a little bit of corn out, but we made mock scrape.
Yeah.
And I've hunted that same corner for 30 years since my brother-in-law bought the place.
Okay.
And so I just started to scrape where they normally put one, and he immediately started hitting it. And so 2 weeks before season was the first glimpse I got of him. But he showed up every day in the daylight, noon, 11 o'clock. But evening time, 6 o'clock, he was pretty regular with 3 other, and several of them's probably going to be booked. If we can get those, they'll be booked bucks. And he showed up the night before season at 6 o'clock, and I shot him at 6:39 the very first evening of season.
Dude, that is about the best way to do it. Yeah, with him, with that many daylight photos, he was betting pretty close then.
Yes. Well, the hollow I'm facing right behind is where they bed. It's pretty
nice. Yeah, they had to be pretty close. You're getting that many daylight photos because those deer don't like to travel that much during the daylight.
And my opinion, that's my nephew there, but I told him, I said that with everybody, it's hunted hard around us. I said, if we don't, that first evening, the first stand is going to be our chance.
Yeah.
Or he'll go nocturnal on us.
Yeah, and that's that, so that shows a lot of, like, the scouting that went into it. Like, even 2 weeks before, and you were getting all those, like, those photos to know he was there and daylighting like that. And that's like the perfect time, like, to get in there and do that, especially in the early season. It's really, really valuable to get that information. So tell me a little bit about, like, the area. Like, so you said it was like this one corner. So is it like a edge of a field, like a
edge of a field?
Okay.
With a gas line running between 2 ridges.
Okay.
And they use that. They always have used that very heavily, and it's easy for them to duck in and out without being seen.
So is this your first year actually seeing this deer? Did you have any history with this deer prior to?
Well, I think last year we went back through our pictures from last year, and I think we seen him on there, and he was probably a 160 class 10.
Okay.
But he had this started.
Okay.
And
yeah, that extra brow tine coming out there, right? Yeah.
Coming. And from last year to this year, he blew up.
Right. What was the measurement on that brow tine? Do you remember?
9.
9? 9-inch brow tine, folks. Like, well, you guys will get to see it on the cover photo, but this thing is impressive to see, just the amount of mass. So you get in, come in, you saw the first evening hunt, right?
First evening.
So tell me, what's going through your mind? This deer's coming in first evening. What's happening?
Well, he come in facing me, and he walked up the gas line away from me, but what he was doing, there was a doe on the scrape, and he'd come up and turn to wind. And then he started walking, and I didn't know if I'd be able to do it. I was shaking so bad, but he he was at 26 yards. I had everything pre-ranged, and when he stepped out and gave me enough of the shoulder, that was it.
That was the game. All right. How far did he go after the shot?
Maybe 50 yards.
50 yards.
He turned, he plowed into a tree.
Yeah.
Which, amazing he didn't break anything.
Yeah.
Up, hit another tree, rolled over again, and went into a multifoil rose bush, which is where we found him.
So did you see him fall?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Heard it.
You heard it?
I heard it.
So you heard that crash. Tell me what's going through your mind.
I put the bow down, and I was shaking really bad. It took me a while to get down.
How long did you give him before you go?
Half an hour.
About half hour?
Yeah. I text my nephew, who was hunting about 300 yards from me, that, I got him. We called him Trashy because of all the...
Yeah, that's a fitting name.
And he texted me back. He thought thought I was joking with him. He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yes."
I swear I did.
You sure? And I'm like, "Yes." And some expletives I can't say on here.
No, I you're probably rightfully so.
And what do I do? Oh my gosh! And I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm going through that. Well, he came over and he did the tracking job. I was too tore up.
Oh, I understand. So obviously a lot of excitement and rightfully so. Tell me, and how did you feel when you walked up on this deer?
Oh, I started crying. I really did. And I kept telling him, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Kyle, you don't know what I just did."
It's like, I still don't know what I did.
It was a good one. I knew it was good.
Yeah. Did you?
I didn't anticipate 200 inches good, but I knew it was a good one.
So what was your best estimate? What did you think it would be?
At least 180s, 90s.
180s, 190s?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's stuff here that when you're looking 20 yard, I didn't see all this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is an impressive deer. So you've had him scored as under Buckmasters too, right?
Right.
What was the score they give you there?
227 and 2/8.
227 and 2/8, right? And so now for the Buckeye Big Buck Club, I think, and also you're probably gonna go in all three books, right? So it'll be Boone and Crockett, Buckeye Big Buck Club, and also the Pope and Young. Well, no, you can't because it's a crossbow, right? So two of the record books then. Maybe Pope and Young will eventually get on board with crossbows, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe one of these years, but Pope and Young, if you're listening. So you got it, but he scored what here?
209 and 5/8.
209 and 5/8. Well, sir, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with me about it. That is an impressive deer, and I don't know if I could have kept my crap together long enough to have shot that deer if it walked out in front of me. So that is definitely an impressive feat. So since I'm sitting here talking to a 200-inch club member now, what's some advice that you have for anybody out there that maybe have a chance of doing the same thing?
Be patient.
Be patient.
I was as a hunter, bow hunter, I was never much patience.
Okay.
When a nice one came, I got it.
Yep.
I have a daughter at home with Down syndrome that takes a lot of my time.
Okay.
So, and that's a lot of it. I just, get a good one, and
there's nothing wrong with that.
And but when this one showed up on the camera, I let $5 go that morning that I normally would never let walk.
Yeah, that's quite a tease too. As these five go walking past, you're like, huh?
Yeah.
It's good knowing. It's good knowing that that was there. So what crossbow do you use?
I use a Wicked Ridge M370.
Okay. Did you get it here from Northeast Outdoors? Or
no, I didn't.
Okay. Well, we won't tell Greg.
I got all my arrows here.
We won't tell Greg that you didn't get it from here. That's all right.
He sells me lots of stuff. Every time I come in the door, it's $100.
Well, Tom, once again, congratulations. Is there anything you would like to add towards the end of this, or?
Just, you don't know how many nice people there are till you shoot a nice deer. And I've met lots of nice people that I wouldn't, like yourself, I would have never got to meet otherwise.
Well, thank you. Well, and obviously you're very humble, but dude, that is a stud deer. and I'm very happy for you. And if that's it, man, God bless you, and good luck to your future hunting endeavors, sir.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Well, everybody, I really do hope you enjoyed this episode as we sat down and talked to 3 great, inspiring hunters in the local community here in Tuscarawas County. I tell you what, like it was a pleasure to actually sit down and talk to them. And I'm hoping that the excitement and the emotions that I could see coming from them transfers very well into the audio. And I think that it does, because I've listened back to the stories before I recorded the intros and this outro, and it put a smile on my face, from Tom coming to tears, recounting his story of a once in a lifetime buck. And Tom, if you listen to this, I don't think I know anybody else that was more deserving of that buck than you, sir. And I appreciate that you took the time to sit down and talk to us. I really do. And I really do appreciate, Jeremiah. I appreciate the great story behind that deer, the work, the effort, and everything you put towards that, and a little bit of luck that you got from your dad's misfortune. But I just appreciate your time, and just a great story. And Jeremiah being, his mid-20s, like I said in the intro for his story, that young man is a big buck killer. He's got it figured out already. And if this kid doesn't end up with a 200-inch deer plus, I'll be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if I see Jeremiah's name show up as a potential record holder at some point in time for a whitetail deer in Ohio. This kid has got it figured out. And I do wish him a lot of luck in his future hunting endeavors, and excited that maybe one day I might be able to get to sit down and talk with him again, with another success of his. And lastly, of course, we cannot forget Melinda, our very first interview. I think she's an inspiration for other women out there. And honestly, all 3 of these hunters should be inspirations for everyone out there. Melinda, she's a young lady. She's in her 20s, and she's got a monster of a deer that she put down. A great, great deer. And the fact that she's so articulate when she's telling the story, she appears to be a good role model. And I hope that, listeners out there, you get to share this, especially if you have daughters who are interested in the outdoors. Melinda is a good example of, what hard work, dedication, and patience and persistence pays off for. And that it doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl, man or woman, we all have the equal opportunity to do the exact same thing out there in the woods if we're willing to put the work and time, effort, all that into those hunts. In closing, I want to talk about a few things, and you're going to hear a little bit more about this in part 2 when I sit down and talk to Jim. But there are some trends that are starting to change here in Ohio, especially in our archery season. Now, I'm going to preface this saying that I really don't care if someone wants to hunt with a crossbow. I know that's not the popular opinion. There are a lot of people who hate crossbows in the archery season. I don't really care. It opens the door to a lot of other people to be involved into the outdoors and get them involved into the archery realm. And there's no shame in that. There shouldn't be shame in that. I don't understand why we have to shame somebody for chasing the experience that they want. That's not fair. Because I tell you, if you sit down and talk to them, I mean, seriously, sit down and talk to them, look them in the eyes, and listen to their story. I'm going to tell you right now, they have the exact same smile on their face that I would have shooting a compound bow, or the exact same smile on their face that my best friend, also a member of the, who was sitting here on the podcast, Billy Dryden, would have shooting one with his trad bow. Folks, we're one and the same. I can't say we're all chasing the same experience, because we're not. We want to experience things our ways. But when we are successful, it's the same. It doesn't matter if it's crossbow. It doesn't matter if it's with a rifle, a shotgun, a compound bow, or a trad bow. You were successful at the experience that you wanted. And I congratulate all 3 of you. And actually, I congratulate everyone who brought in their deer. And like I said, from 90 inches all the way up to 209 inches, I congratulate all of you for chasing the experience that you wanted, and you were successful at it. Another thing I want to touch on, and this is technology and how it is starting to change what we do. You heard Tom say he is now a big believer in cell cameras. He believes, he knows that data, that information that he got from that cell camera led him to the success that he had on a once in a lifetime deer. And then Melinda told us a story about how they used a drone here in Ohio to help her recover her deer. I understand that technology in our pursuits is a hot button topic for some people. And I think that everyone has their stance or their position where they want to be, or, you know, where they stand on each one of these issues. And I'm going to be forefront with you. Like, cell cams, don't care. Like, to be honest with you, I've killed more deer without a camera than I've had with cameras. Sometimes I think cameras can be a hindrance. Sometimes you are chasing a ghost on a camera if you're not doing it right. So what if it's a cell cam? So what if it's transmitting photos to you? So what? Is a person better because they set a camera that they have to go check? I mean, but when I say that, like, if that's what you want to do, then do it. My point is, don't sit and make fun of someone, or don't sit there and tell someone that they shouldn't do something because it's not what you would do. They didn't ask you that. If they did, then honestly give them your honest opinion. If they ask you, hey, what would you do? Then tell them. But if they didn't ask you that, don't shame them. Don't, you know, it's not like it's there to pull the trigger for them. Now, I think, me personally, where I draw the line, and we'll jump in on the drone, is I don't think you should be able to use a drone to help you locate a deer to hunt. I am all for using a drone to help you recover a deer that you have shot. The law states that you will use or try to exhaust all means to recover an animal that you have wounded. This is an opportunity for us to add to those means to recover the animals that we have shot. Once again, do I think you have to go to the drones? No. If you want to, I think you should be able to. I think it is a great idea. And I understand there are some gray or very thin lines. And, you know, we've seen a story come out of Pennsylvania that is a very thin line. But I do know that Pennsylvania is working on changing the law. And I hope it helps benefit that young man who was using his drone to help somebody recover a deer. But I want to touch on this last thing. And this last thing is that if you sit back and listen to all three stories, right? The common theme is there's work that needs to be done. If you want to be successful at hunting, you want to be successful at anything, you're going to have to put work at it. These three interviews were a great example of that. All three of them put work in, whether it was a marathon or not. There was hard work to be had. They stood up to that challenge. They pushed forward. They put in the hard work. They make what sacrifices they can. And in the end, they're rewarded with deer of a lifetime. So as I close this out, first and foremost, Tom, Jeremiah, Melinda, thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk to us. I had a great time talking to you, and I hope that you had a great time reliving your stories, because I know it was very inspiring for me to sit and listen to you and to see the emotions that you guys exhibited, telling your stories and recounting those. All three were fantastic stories, and all three were fantastic deer. Also want to say thank you to the Buckeye Big Buck Club for their continued efforts into promoting the tradition of deer hunting here in Ohio, and volunteering their time to come out for scoring events like this, to help gather other like-minded individuals together so that we can share our stories and share in each other's successes and grow as a community. Thank you. But also, before I go, Greg, Northeast Outdoors, this is a big shout out to you, my man. Thank you for what you do. You've been in the business for a long time. And as I talk to a lot of people there at the event, I'll tell you this. Everyone had the same thing to say about Greg. There's not a question that you can't go to Greg with that Greg can't answer. And by answer, it's the right answer. And if he doesn't know, if there's a chance that there's some weird chance that he doesn't know, he knows where to send you. He can get you pointed in the right direction. So, Greg, you've been a staple at Northeast Outdoors for a long time. You've been a staple in the outdoor industry for a long time. The good person that you are and your ability to bring people together for one common goal is amazing. I appreciate your work, your dedication, your life that you've put towards the outdoor community. And I really, really, really thank you for hosting this event. This is 4 years now. I cannot wait for the 5th year. I hope that you'll be gracious enough to let me come and set the podcast up again there next year. But Greg, Tuscarawas County, Ohio, we owe you a big thank you for what you do. Everything you provide for the outdoor community. So Greg, thank you. Folks, this is Sean Smith getting ready to sign off on part 1 of 2 of this little mini series from the Antler scoring event there on March 9th, 2024. Before I go, please make sure you check us out on our social media accounts. That's Kountryfried Outdoors. That is on Instagram. Kountryfried is spelled with a K. Check us out on YouTube at Kountryfried Outdoor Productions. Once again, spelled with a K. Or, as always, check us out on the podcast here on at least a few of the popular podcast hosting sites: Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon. Until our paths cross again, or the next podcast, I hope you guys stay safe out there as you're chasing the experience that you want. And as always, God bless you.